In this video, we'll take a look at the rich text box control. While the text box control will let you input and display text, the rich text box control goes further and provides you with a text area that can be easily formatted, similar to formatting a document with Microsoft Word. The output is RTF, or rather Rich Text Format, which is a standard format that contains not only the text itself, but also formatting codes that indicate the font, color, indentation, and even images embedded into the text. So the Rich Text Box control hides the complexity of formatting the text with RTF codes and provides an easy programmatic interface for you to use. To modify text programmatically, you work with a selection, which is one or more characters in the document to which you're going to apply formatting. So the user can select text using the mouse or the keyboard, or the programmer can programmatically select text, and once you have a selection, you can apply formatting to that selection. Again, things like font, the color, embellishments like bold, italics, underline, and so on. To provide a simple first look at the Rich Text Box Control, I created a simple application called Rich Text Box Control CS, which contains a single form, a Rich Text Box Control, which as you can see is docked to cover the majority of the forms area, a menu strip, and as you can see in the Form Designer tray, a number of dialog controls. And these dialogues will allow us to open and save the document, to modify the color and the font, and even simulate the process of printing the document. So let's take a quick look at what you can do with this example, and then we're going to look at each of the properties of the Rich Text Box Control that made this example possible. So we can start by just typing in some text here into the main area of our little application, or we can open a file, an RTF file that I happen to have here in the My Documents directory, and we can begin to play around with that a little bit. I'm just going to select some text and change the font by opening up the font dialog, and then let's go to Homa Bold 14 so we can see a clear distinction here. Let's select some more text and change the color to red, and then let's do some things like just selecting and cutting and pasting and copying and pasting. We have also undo support and redo support. And then we can also, and I think this is kind of neat, be able to take a look at the underlying RTF codes. So this just demonstrates how we can get at the RTF codes. Now, if you're familiar with RTF and you want to format the codes yourself, you have the ability to do that programmatically using the properties of the Rich Text Box Control. However, as you can see, we have some text that's recognizable, but for the most part, it's fairly difficult to look at least from the untrained eye, as to what is actually going on here in this RTF example. But at any rate, that is available to you. And then also, and finally, I'm just going to show another little example here of how we can paste an image that we've copied to our clipboard. There we go. Then we could save the document, print it, and so on. But let's go ahead and just exit for now. Take a look at some of the code that was required to enable some of this functionality. We'll start with the open click event on our little menu option here. And most of the click event for the open menu item is setting up our open file dialog to be shown to the user. However, to actually load the selected file from the open file dialog, look, we had only required one line of code. We just retrieved the file name from the dialog box that was selected by the user, and we used the load file method. It's easy as that. Similarly, we can save the changes that we made to our file. After displaying the save file dialog, here's where we actually do the work of saving the file. We use the save file method, passing in the name of the file and The format, we can choose several different formats here from the rich text box stream type format enumeration. Plain text, rich text, and several other options. We're going to choose rich text here. So it's as easy as that to save the RTF back. Let's skip down to the formatting that we did when we selected the font. We showed the font dialog, selected a color, and to make a change to the font, we basically just call the selection font property of the rich text box. So this will change the selection, not the entire document, just the selection area, and we're going to only change the font to whatever was selected within the font dialog. Here we're changing the color. Again, the selected text color to whatever was selected by the color dialog. We enabled the cut functionality by calling the cut method, the copy method, the paste method, all of the rich text box control, the undo, the redo. So you can see a lot of this is just as simple as calling a simple method on our rich text box control. Here we're displaying the RTF codes, the underlying RTF, in a message box. So for the selected area, retrieve the RTF. So we're just using a selected RTF property of our rich text box, saving it in a local variable and displaying it within a message box. It's as easy as that. And then finally what we did was paste in from the clipboard an image. So the first thing we did was need to load up an image that we retrieved from our My Documents directory called logo.gif, and so we used our environment.specialfolder.mydocuments for this current environment. In other words, for this user on this particular computer, we used the getFolderPath method and concatenated that together with the actual file name itself, logo.gif, set the image to the clipboard using the setImage method, passing in our instance of our image object that we loaded in the previous line of code, and then we simply used the paste method of the rich text box control, and then finally cleaned up things by clearing out the clipboard. So as you can see, a lot of the functionality was enabled with just really one line of code by simply setting a property of the rich text box control. So it's easy to integrate text editing and formatting functionality into your applications by using the rich text box control.